I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, justice for all.
Justice for all. Is our inspirator Dave Licata in the house?
Strangely enough, I am.
There he is.
Mr. Toastmaster, you'll appreciate my inspirational this morning. Thank you, Floor Manager Ken. Promise yourself to be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. To talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet. To make all your friends feel there is something in them. Look at the sunny side of everything to make your optimism come true. To think only of the best. To expect only the best. To work only for the best and to expect only the best. Be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as you are about your own. To forget the mistakes of the past and press on to greater achievements in the future. To wear a cheerful countenance at all times and give every living creature you meet a smile. To give so much time to the improvement of yourself that you have no time to criticize others. To be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of trouble. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Round of applause for him. That was great. Get us going this morning, thinking a little bit. Do have a request. I'm looking for succession here, someone to step up to take the role of the president. I do have all the other roles filled. Probably should do elections sometime soon. I know we have activities coming up here in regards to DECA coming next week. So we have a bunch of young, bright minds coming there. And definitely would like some attendance there as well from our regular members to support. So Kate is in charge of that, and Christian Badger Bach. So that'll be next week. In addition to that, our open house will be the following week, and that'll be part of the theme that Les is going to talk about today. So our Vice President of Education elect is Nancy Ferry. Our Treasurer elect is Beth Banks. Our Vice President of Public Relations elect is Eric Schneider. Vice President of Membership elect Les Robinson. Sergeant at Arms elect Mike Florio, and our not an official position, but we're making it a position. Our Tech Master is Len Thornton. So that is our line so far. I just need someone to step up to be president. So email me or call me. I'd be happy to talk about it. We have a great crew here, certainly, that supports. So if you have any doubts about anything, we can definitely help us. We are a veteran club. Any other announcements at this point? Okay.
Gerald?
Great. Yes.
I did finally get into M&T Bank, so I do have the bank account reconciled. Took me a bit. The EIN number they have on file is not the one you received from district, so I really don't know what the discrepancy is, but it's not. So I do finally have that and have it recorded. I do have only, I think I've got everyone that paid, a member of Toastmasters National, but I will have to remind Eric one more time that you have not paid, even though I did have you a member. So Eric, you need to get your dues to me. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth, for persevering. one of my favorite words, but it's not the word of the day yet. If it could be. Les Robinson is our Toastmaster. Let's give him a warm welcome if there's no other announcements.
Thank you, everybody. I'm gonna run this meeting a little bit different. It's gonna be the same format, but we're gonna talk about more or less the open house, how to promote members, how to make it a win-win. And at the end of the day, as I talk to my speeches and I've talked in the past, is basically when we bring in new members, it helps to grow the club, makes us more of an effective club and a win-win. A lot of you probably have been checking out social media. I have been pushing that part of it because the news media part, I've sent out our press releases, is kind of not what it was like 10 or 15 years ago, where you could make a couple phone calls. And I could probably say with about an 80% chance we would have a news crew here. Well, when you're down to 2 people on the board, I haven't gotten any responses. So if I am going to ask people, if anybody knows anybody at Spectrum, we could get my press release moved up from the 0 level up to someone to look at it. And if anybody knows anybody at Wake Up or Channel 4, we can get to someone to look at it and get on the board. And then next on the 17th, they can come to the meeting, do a little videotape and promote our meeting. So my question to the group is, number one, does anybody know anybody at Spectrum? I'm putting it out there. Does anybody have any friends at Spectrum TV?
I have the number of the young man that did the story about.
What did Dave say? Dave, I can't hear you.
He's probably going to wander up to the mic, I hope.
That's what I hope.
I'll call the young man that did the story about me last September.
Cool. That would be great. Thank you, Dave. Is that for Spectrum?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then this morning I will go out to LVL and I'll catch Hank Nevins. Or how you doing with LVL?
I sent that over to their news. I had to send that in 3 weeks ago. So it should be in his community pile for stuff. Because they require.
I listened to LVL this morning and it's one chicken barbecue after another for Mother's Day. So I'm sure they can squeeze us in. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, so we have nobody that has any contacts at Channel 4. Okay, so we will go with Spectrum. And I sent out everybody an email. It was very simple, was how to, basically, if you can put that on your social media, and I'm going to come back to that in a few minutes. So basically what we're hoping next week is that we all make it on TV. That's at the Y. All right. So my first call to order is the word master, and that is Gerald. Gerald, what is the word of the day?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. But before I do that, I did want to recognize DTM, Past District Governor Harry Carlson is in the house.
Oh, Harry's in the house. Cool.
Yes. So welcome back, Harry.
Let's give him a big round of applause.
Absolutely. It's great to see him back. I don't think there's any other guests that I am aware of, but I did want to recognize him. And I'm glad he is here today. As the WAG master, so we have a combined role today for me. The word of the day, spontaneously, is perseverance. Beth inspired me with her perseverance to get the accounts in order all year. She's been dealing with little things here or there. And so thanks for inspiring me, Beth. I appreciate that. And I love that word anyway. So perseverance, we will persevere, get things done. That is the word of the day. I try to use it in table topics and as many times as you can throughout the meeting. I will be checking it off. And since we have a few combined roles, I will roll into the job holders of master and grammarian. So in Toastmasters, we want to make sure that we don't have a lot of ahs and pauses and filler words. So I will try to put on my ears this morning and pay attention to that and count those and report at the end of the meeting, and also be involved with looking at grammar. Not my best And if I had Margot's talents, I would be on it like nothing. Can't swear in Toastmasters, but I would. It was outside of Toastmasters. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Gerald, for persevering through today. Do we have a quote master? Okay, does anybody like to step up today with a quote? Okay, we will then go to Marty Johnson, being today's jester. Marty, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, last
Okay.
time here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome, Harry Carlson. Nice to see you, man. It's been a long time. Nice to see everyone. Well, my just this morning, it's more of a personal story that I'm going to share with everyone. As some of you know, last month, they were gearing up for elections for the district, for our District 65, and I was nominated by the nominating committee, and there was a whole process that you have to go through for a club growth director for the district. Long story short is we talked about last week, and I was in communication on the club website, that a more qualified candidate won. His name's Ray Mulgrew, and he's very qualified, and he won 60% of the vote. And I thought, wow, you know, can you imagine, could I imagine myself if I would have won and how much work I'd have to be doing all summer? And I'm thinking, wow, what a sigh of relief. You never get that feeling when you don't do something and you're like, wow, now I'm freed up to do this. Well, I was tapped on the shoulder the other day by someone, I won't say who, but I was offered the district Division C governor, Division C director, if you want to say. And I accepted, you know, like, there goes my summer. There goes I'm free to do this, I'm free to do that. No, it's more of I understood after I looked at the whole big picture, you know, the person I was talking to showed me the big picture, and I realized, wow, there's some growth there. I have room for improvement for myself because I've never been division director. And long story short is that I'm going to be traveling a little bit. And I said, well, what about the gas mileage expenditure? Is that going to be involved? He said, well, with Zoom, we haven't needed it. And he said, but we are definitely revisiting it. And I said, I hope you do, because I'm accepting this position. I hope there'd be some compensation for mileage. And they said, we're definitely going to look into that. I accepted the position. I'm going to be going just the other side of Brockport and Irondequoit. And the nice thing about it is that I have sisters that live in the immediate area there. And I will be definitely visiting them more than I would on Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, other holidays. That is my just for the day, fellow Toastmasters. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster Les.
Thank you. Our next person is our timer, Mike Florio. It's Mike here.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Harry, it's always great to see you. Nice to come back. I did find Les a couple of quotes, if you don't mind.
No, I'm ready.
All right. So I'll do the timer right after this, but first quote, it is always impossible until it's done. Nelson Mandela. And then perseverance is not a long race. It is many short races, one after the other. Walter Elliott said that. Henry Ford said, failure is the only opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. And Thomas Edison said, many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. So, persistence, definitely persevere. As timer this morning, it's very important. I will be watching table topics. Time is 1:30 to 2 minutes with a 15-second buffer. You'll get the green at 1:30, the yellow at 1:45, and the red at 2 minutes. Speeches are typically 5 to 7 minutes. Evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes with a 30-second buffer. And good luck, everyone, this morning.
Thank you, Mike. I see that Phil Russell is here and he is our quiz master for today. Good morning, Phil.
You interrupted my strawberry clementine break right here. Now as the master, and I'm sure that Marty will persevere in his new role as the director of Division C, I believe it is, way over the other side of Rottenchester. But my job is quizmaster. We have a new guest here, Mr. Harry Carlson. I remember Harry, he disappeared after he was the District 65, whatever it is, director. Welcome back, Harry. My job as the quizmaster is to ask questions at the end of the meeting of simple things that people did during, for instance, what was it that I was eating when Les interrupted me? Strawberries and clementines. So I will ask those at the end of the meeting to make sure you're paying attention. That's my role as quizmaster, to persevere and listen to the speakers. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Phil. All right, we're going to go to table topics. I see that Margot is here. Is Margot ready?
Of course. Good morning, everyone. I see from what I can tell, there are a few people who have the opportunity to speak. So with the theme of next week being our open house, many of you have commented in the past that I have worn my name badge upside down. When I go to Lions meetings, I wear a pin upside down, and it's a way of generating conversation, letting people know that I'm in Lions or I'm in Toastmasters, whatever. So I see Steve is in the house, correct? Yes? Steve, what would you do to garner some excitement about Toastmasters? That could be a subtle way to get people to ask you about it. There. Good morning, Lion Steve.
Good morning. Speaking of lions, I have just recently been elected to be the lion president in Wilson next year. So no, I'm not interested in being president of this club. One is enough. And also, Marty, you talked about losing an election. I have run more times than I can count for office in Wilson. I've never won. Hell, I haven't even been close. I keep trying. Never give up. What would I do to encourage and promote Toastmasters? And you said subtle. I don't know how to be subtle. It's not my nature. I like to do things more dramatic, literally hit you over the head with it. I think my perseverance, as I've just mentioned, about running for office and never giving up. I'm all the time willing to talk about Toastmasters. That's why a lot of times I leave my badge on, just right side up, just someone, what the hell is Toastmasters? So anything that is a conversation starter is good. Wearing the shirt out in public, that's my idea of subtle. That's as subtle as I get. But as far as very deliberate methods, I don't know. I just prefer to talk about it. And when I'm doing my star shows, I promote the fact that I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for Toastmasters. And I've got to thank our good friend Mike Reinbold for dragging me kicking and screaming into Toastmasters. One of the best things that ever happened. And as I have said often, I think you created a monster. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Miss Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Steve. And if I'm not correct, that's at least your second time around filling the chair. So congratulations. One of the other things I do about Toastmasters, Lions, and other organizations, I have 2 or 3 facts in my head about what I would want people to know about Toastmasters. The idea being the old phrase, an elevator speech. So I see Nancy Ferry has logged on. Nancy, could you give us your elevator speech about Toastmasters? And don't forget to use the word persevere.
Elevator speech. Wow, I remember learning that in my master's degree and never could come up with an elevator speech that would not take me, that wouldn't take me too many floors. There we go. Perseverance in trying to consolidate what I think is important about Toastmasters. I'm thinking about the changes that have happened in my life, the ability to use the word of the day, to write a speech without having a panic attack, to give a speech, to make outlines, to listen. The skills that I have also received are using less ums and ahs, using less, that can be very irritating. And also I'm learning how to be a better evaluator. I guess making new friends. And 7 o'clock in the morning, what better thing does anybody have to do at 7 o'clock in the morning but be at Toastmasters? Great place. Thank you for asking me to be Table Topics contestant today.
All right, thank you, Nancy. And one of our traditions at Toastmasters is to invite our guest. Harry, would you be willing to do a Table Topics today? Yes or no? I need somebody. Oh, Harry's getting up. Harry, welcome back. You have had so many roles in Toastmasters. You've been our leader. You've given speeches. You've got your DTM. I'd love to hear what you consider to be your favorite part of Toastmasters, number 1, and number 2. Are you going to join us again? Because we've missed you.
Before I start my table topic, I'll do a toast. The one thing I found about Toastmasters is you can always have a hip pocket toast because toasts are fantastic and people just love them. So here's one that's real short and to the point. To our friends and family that know us well, but love us just the same. That's an easy one. Madam Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters out there in cyberspace. Kind of a new opportunity for me to come to a meeting and see people on the screen. It's different from what I was used to. The most interesting thing that I have found about being a Toastmaster or being a past Toastmaster, because I was a past district governor, Phil. So after you're the district governor, which used to be the district governor, you do have a role for a whole nother year as the past district governor, mentoring the current district governor. A lot of travel, a lot of fun, and a lot of opportunities to build your leadership skills. That is the main thing that I received from Toastmasters. It wasn't the opportunity to speak in front of an audience. Sure, that's a great opportunity, but the ability to get up and lead a group of people is even more so important and gives you a sense of satisfaction that will last forever. And it could be as simple as watching your grandchildren and you're in charge of them, so you're the leader. Or it could be just stepping in to a group of people that are very disorganized and have no idea what they're doing. It could be something simple or it could be something more complex. But the one thing that you have to remember is you have to persevere. You have to continue going on through life and incorporating these skills that Toastmasters can give you. Another real quick one is I persevered this morning. I had no idea the club was meeting here. Called Kate Banks, text her. She's in North Carolina. She got in touch with me and I'm here. Madam Topic Master.
Thank you very much, Harry, and welcome back. I hope you can join us again soon. May I please have a word master report? Did all of our speakers use the word persevere or a form of perseverance?
I believe I heard all of the speakers use the word persevere. I definitely heard Steve and Harry. Nancy, I think did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
we got, okay, very good. So they all qualified in regards to the word, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you. And may I please have a timers report?
Yes, all of our contestants made time. Steve Smith at 1:48, Nancy Ferry at 1:44, and Harry Carlson, you made it at 2:08. He persevered. Thank you.
Thank you so much. While the poll is going around, I would like to turn the lectern, the microphone, whatever we want to call it today, back over to our Toastmaster of the day, Les. Thank you, Les.
Margot, thank you very much. Now, here is the ironic twist of my next part of the meeting is my first two parts, a self-promotion and a little elevator speech, which was Margot's speeches for table topics. Now, very simple. I've sent out a bunch of emails to everybody. And what I did is I posted it on social media, and Jackie Kenny is the only one that has really liked it. What I am asking everyone to do is if you can copy paste onto whatever social media you have, you can go on to the Toastmasters website and there are free images, or go to Google and get a free image. So you got the little PR, you got the little photo of the Toastmasters logo, and then basically do a little self-promotion. If you can share that with a few of your friends that you think would benefit from being in Toastmasters, and then I wouldn't say do an elevator speech, but write 1 to 2 lines of why Toastmasters has helped you and share that, and hope that will bring in new people to our open house on May 25th. I think it's a very simple and easy way to invite people. It's not intrusive. It's a win-win. The PR has been written. It is out there. And that's basically it. So if anybody has any questions on how to post this onto your social media, you can give me a call on my cell. I'll give it to you, 716-523-2706. Because our end goal is very simple, is we want to get the post out, and hopefully we'll persevere through all of this and get maybe 10 or 15 people at our open house on the 25th, which would be a good thing. So now I am going to turn it over to our first evaluator. Give me a second here. Which is Sylvia. And she is going to be talking about Tracy. Sylvia, do you have Tracy's topic and time?
I do, Mr. Toastmaster. This morning,
Thank you.
Tracy is doing her second speech from the Dynamic Leadership Level 4, Manage Projects Successfully. And this is the like I said, second speech. She did her first a few weeks back and gave us a little introduction. Actually, she intrigued us what was going on in Lockport. And this time she's going to talk about her team and her project. It's 5 to 7 minutes, Mr. Timer. And do you have the title? I do if you don't. Les, do you have a title? Market.
I'm just unmute. I'm unmuting. Yes, I do.
I have it. It's Market
Main-
Street Trail.
Thank you.
Tracy Farrell.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Today I want to talk about our Market Street Trail, and I did talk about it a couple of months ago. And if you remember, it was the Rotary Club. We began cleaning up the Market Street Trail about 3 years ago. Consists of 5 parks right along Market Street. And why did we choose this project? Well, because it is in line with the 5 pillars of Rotary, 3 of them at least. The first one, probably the most important, is the environment. Obviously, along the paths along the canal should be cleaned. Second, it's health. It helps when our community is out walking those walking paths or riding along the bike paths, getting our community out to be healthier. And finally, this is the one that was near to my heart, was economic development. The canal is a huge tourist attraction in the city of Lockport. But in the city, the canal's kind of divided up into 2 aspects. There's downtown where we have the locks, and that's where all the shops and the restaurants are. And we never make it down to Market Street, where it's a lot more natural. We have the walkways, we have the bike paths, there's the boat rent launch, there's the canal tours, and also the art galleries. So finding a way to connect the 2 was where I was really interested in. Still not a perfect project because we have the one little section where it's hard to walk from downtown down that hill to Market Street, but it's something to work on. Rotary first began the project by cleaning up the paths, kind of like a highway cleanup project. And during that process, it was amazing. We covered stone walkways. We pulled back brush and were able to open up a parking lot in the area. Finally, we got so excited, we're like, we're going to add some benches to this and some waste receptacles. After doing all that, the city finally took notice of what we were doing and said, this is a great project. And in conjunction with the Rotary Club, we were able to apply and win a New York State Canal grant for about $150,000. This was a big deal for our project. And this is even before we started working on the pavilion. But it really was only 5 cities along the canal. It's used to attract more tourists. The city's going to use that money to open up those restrooms there and add some more landscaping in the area. We all know it's very dead looking in there and it needs a lot of cleanup. After all of this happened, Rotary decided, let's build a pavilion. Now we have this great space. How do we use it? How can we draw more people there? So we decided to add a pavilion, except for it was going to cost us $35,000. Rotary does have some money, but we have a lot more talent than we do treasure in our club. So we had to form a committee and try to think of a way to raise this money. We landed on a brick campaign. And the reason we did is, Sylvia might know about this, but the YW was extremely successful on their brick campaign. So we decided to do the same thing. From our pavilion to those newly restored restrooms that will happen, we were going to have personalized bricks and start selling them. We found the company. We launched our campaign just before Christmas. What great timing, right? We had these great brochures. We had announcements to the club. We even put it out on Facebook. Christmas came, Christmas went, and very little happened. Sales were extremely slow. So once again, we reconvened, we pushed it out to our members. We started pounding on doors, saying of some of our businesses saying, hey, put up our nice little posters that we have, handing out brochures. This is a great project. It's great for the community. Its sales were still slow. So we had to sit back and I had to wonder, why weren't we as successful as the YWCA? And some of my thoughts on this project are, well, The YWCA is fantastic at fundraising. They're organized, they have a database full of supporters, and they also have one single cause that they work on. Rotary's a little bit, I don't want to say scattered, but they are scattered. We work on different projects all across the spectrum and what we want to support. And those are different audiences. So we don't have one single supporter. The Y was also a lot more consistent in their campaign. They have an email list, a mailing list. They can contact their supporters all the time. We also had Facebook postings here and there, but nothing consistent. Also in this project, I learned that I hate cold calling. It is not fun to go knocking on businesses asking for them to buy things. My boyfriend, he can do it for the Lions Club. He can sell those $50 and $100 tickets 2 times as many as he's asked for. When I have to sell those tickets for Rotary, I beg my parents to please buy my tickets so I don't have to sell them. I even had problems asking one of my friends to buy some of the bricks for this campaign. In the end, we did manage to come through. We applied for 5 grants. Not all of them were received, but we did receive one from the Greg Lewis Foundation, and we also received one from the Greenway Foundation. We slowly sold enough bricks to help us raise money to put up this pavilion, and the restrooms should be restored with that canal grant this summer, so they should be opened. I hope that we will be able to purchase the supplies for the pavilion this summer within the next couple of months, and we'll be able to put it up. My goal is this summer we'll be having summer picnics. We'll be all along the canal where we can fish, kayak, and enjoy friends. It wasn't a perfect project. I learned a lot, but in the end, we're going to have a pavilion no matter what it takes. And I hope that it continues on. And I hope that Toastmasters will someday be able to have a picnic out there too. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you, Tracy. And we now have our second speaker, which is Carol Ann. And change, and I'm not talking about nickels and dimes, and our evaluator here is Mike Licata. Mike.
Good morning, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Carol Ann is working on the presentation mastery pathway. Connect with your audience. The purpose of this project is for a member to practice skills needed to connect with an unfamiliar audience. Mr. Timer, the time is 5 to 7 minutes, and I do believe you have his title, correct? Her title, excuse me.
Yes, I do. It's change, and I'm not talking about nickels and dimes. Carol Ann.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guest. Change is inevitable since life is dynamic. We all have to adjust to events in our lives that are stressful. One of the most difficult things is to lose a loved one. Or if you have chronic illness like diabetes, where you have to take medications and change your diet maybe drastically, or arthritis where you're limited in your activities. And as most of you know, last summer I was diagnosed with acute lymphoma, and this was very life-changing because all of a sudden you think more about your mortality. And I just remember my oldest daughter told me, like when I'd get symptoms like a fever and I'd have to notify the doctor's office, and possibly even be hospitalized. She just says your assignment is to stay alive. So you do whatever you have to do. And even welcome changes are things that you have to make adjustments. I know when I got married, my commute to work went from 3 miles to 20 miles, but I survived it. And even the birth of a child, although another welcome change, is quite stressful. I remember when our first daughter was born and we were going to be discharged from the hospital and they brought her in and I'm thinking, they're not coming back to take her to the nursery. She's ours. And all of a sudden the responsibility kind of floors you. And one thing I've been aware of lately that has happened is the changes in the in our Catholic Church in the Lockport area. When I got married and first moved to town, I did join St. John's, John the Baptist Roman Catholic Church, and there were five churches in town. Now there are 2. And each week, as many churches do, they put out a bulletin. And ours always said St. John the Baptist Roman Catholic Church. Well, now it says the Central Niagara Catholic Family. And that's quite a change. We only have 2 churches, like I said, right in the city of Lockport. But the change has been that there are outlying churches now in our church family. Immaculate Conception in Ransomville. And St. Brendan on the Lake, which includes actually 3 parishes, the Wilson one and one in Newfane and one in Alcott. And the population demographics have changed, plus there's this lower mass attendance, and this has caused these changes. And I realized, for instance, last week when I was at Mass, I did not know the celebrant priest because things have changed. We were so used to our Father Dumfrey in the city of Lockport, and unfortunately he's had to retire. And historically, there have been pastors at churches for years. So you got used to certain priests. They were the ones that were always there. And now we just have to adjust to the changes. And some of the positive things are we have there have been, I haven't attended yet, but there's been some women's Bible classes, and it's included all of these churches. So it's meeting new people. And I know with change, you have to use the phrase either go with the flow, although a phrase my husband often used, like when I'd be having bad days at work, was roll with the punches. And sometimes that's more how it goes. However, if we persevere, I think we can all find ways of adjusting to the changes that are in our lives. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Caroline. And our next speaker is Mark Campos, and his title is The Right Manager at the Right Time. And I bring it up. I'm ready. Sorry, Beth.
No, no problem. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Mark is on the Pathways Strategic Relationships, and that is connecting with storytelling. Yes, his project title is The Right Manager at the Right Time. I look forward to hearing how that is a story. Thank you, Mark.
Fellow Toastmasters and our guest, Harry. Harry, it's great to see you again. I will always think of you as one of the people that spent time welcoming me the first time I visited AM Lockport 19 years ago. And even after 19 years, fellow Toastmasters, even with experience, when I approach a week where I'm the speaker, there's always a little bit of anxiety. What will my speech be about? I'm not one to recycle speeches, at least not intentionally, but I found inspiration this week in the form of a social media post that a childhood friend of mine had put out on Facebook. He also worked for my company, recently retired, and he had a heartfelt post about a coworker of his that was highly influential in his career when he became a technician, someone that showed him the ropes and taught him a lot about the job and about life. And this prompted me to reflect upon the people that influenced my career over a 34+ year period. So I set out and I made a list of all the people I've reported to. See, in my function, less so than a coworker or a peer, it's more who I reported to that molded and shaped me in certain ways. So I came up with a list of 16 of them. I've worked for 16 different people. 5 immediately were stricken off the list because those were only a few weeks or months, so that doesn't really count. So of those remaining 11, I boiled it down to 3 people that I thought were excellent managers and were crucial at pivotal points in my career. And certainly there were other mentors along the way. In fact, I can think of a mentor that prompted me to explore Toastmasters in the first place, but really it was the supervisors, my direct managers, that were highly important. Now, of all the managers I've had, some are more effective than others, some I liked more than others, but overall, they all took an interest in me and in trying to develop me. And that started back in 1989 with my very first supervisor. Now, this is in Manhattan. I went to work in the New York Telephone Business Marketing Operations Department, which was basically a fancy term for customer service / sales. So it's an office environment. And my first supervisor was just the most wonderful woman you could ever imagine for someone like myself. Here I was just 20 years old, full of ambition. I was destined to run the company someday. And she was someone who really cultivated that ambition. She was very experienced, very knowledgeable, highly respected, a great coach, a great teacher. But above all else, what really resonated with me was that she just loved to promote people. If you had ambition, she would work with you and she would gain you exposure. And she had a track record of getting people promoted. And again, it was highly impactful for me, and it inspired me that someday I wanted to be like that and I wanted to return the favor. Next person I'll talk about, if we fast forward to 1995, would be the individual that hired me when I moved from Manhattan to Western New York. Now, this was a seismic change for me. There was a lot going on in my world. Certainly, it's a different area. That's number one. But for the first time, I'd be leading people. And I'd be leading people in a union shop. Most of them were old enough to be my father, and several of them had been working for the company longer than I had been alive. That's a challenging spot. Additionally, the environment was just so fundamentally different. I was coming from an office environment, and I got the job because it was running a specialized group that performed internal services, PC work, networks, telephone systems, things like that. And I had growing skills in that arena, which is why I got the job. But it was part of an operations world. You were working in a garage setting among all the other field forces. So this was big change for me. But this manager just did such a wonderful job striking the perfect balance of leaving me to myself to figure out certain things on my own, and then taking me under his wing as well. He did a great job of showing me the ropes in terms of how to run a group, how to deal with challenging situations, because in that world, a union shop, operations, there's natural friction pretty much every day, and you have to contend with that. And then he also taught me how it all works outside. He forced me to overlap into other functions at a time where maybe I didn't understand it because I was maybe had a little too much ego and thinking maybe it was a step back from what I was doing, but it laid a foundation that was beneficial for the rest of my career, really understanding how everything worked. The third and final one would be my current manager. We've been together now for 8 years, which by far is the longest I've ever worked for anyone in the company. But again, an individual that put me out there, gave me a lot of exposure. Right or wrong, though, I'm at the stage of my career, you get to a certain age, certain number of years, your window closes in terms of your opportunities to progress. And I'm fine with that, perfectly fine with that. But he's the perfect person for this point in my career because we share a same timeline as far as when we intend to retire. There's mutual respect, and I'm leaned on quite a bit for my opinions, almost like a consigliere, if you will, which I greatly appreciate and is very satisfying to me. Overall, though, in reflecting upon these people, it made me think about that promise I had made that I wanted to do the same and to help others. And I believe that that's happened. I can think of people that I helped get promoted. Maybe they've stayed within the company, maybe they've moved on, but several of them have moved on to bigger and better things. Is it as many as I would like it to be? Probably not. I think that's just a function of a company that's getting a little bit smaller in upstate New York. It's not exactly the hotbed of activity. But I'd like to think maybe I played just a small part in their success. And the most gratifying thing to me would be if they would think of me in the same way that I think of these people that I shared with you today. Mr. Toastmaster.
Mark, thank you for a great speech. Could we have a timer's report on the 3 speeches, please?
Wow, these veteran Toastmasters, they really pushed the envelope here. Mark came in at 424 using the buffer, so he was fine. Carol Ann, 547, and Tracy using the buffer as well at 719, so they all qualified. So, 724, 724, Mark, sorry. Did I say 4?
I was going to say there was no way I was that fast because
No,
I was
no.
looking at a red card. Okay.
I think I'm dyslexic or something. 724. 724. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. All right, we will now have our evaluators come up. Our first evaluator is Sylvia, that will be talking about evaluating Tracy.
Dual jobs this morning, dual jobs. Okay. Tracy, thank you for your speech. I really enjoyed it. Not because you gave a plug to the YWCA, but I like local history, local events going on, because I could relate to them. I need to see the places, be there, and really enjoy that you outlined everything that you were doing. I am originally not from Lockport, but Western New York, and I like all historical things. You started out with telling us the 3 reasons to do this project: environment, economic development, which was close to you, and the health. You told us why the project was needed. And I loved when you were talking, looking at the camera, the eye contact, and you wanted to get a point across. You moved real close in and drew us in. What I think I would ask you to work on, and I'm seeing that it's going to be a problem when we go back to Zoom with myself. I forgot how to speak on Zoom. It's not the same as being here. So maybe you want to stand up. You did use gestures. I did see your hands a little bit, but we would probably see more if you stood up. And I missed something, and it might have been in your first speech, why the Rotary wanted to take this project on. The challenge I see that you could do is maybe the notes, less notes, practice a little bit more. But I did like that you used a language that drew the audience. You knew your audience. You drew that language into us, spoke appropriately. And you found a surprise in where you lived your whole life, which was nice. I think that's all I have for you for today. I always enjoyed your speeches, Tracy. Your voice level and confidence is way above than David now and then tells me she couldn't go up here and talk years and years ago. And now you could take command of this whole club. How about president, Tracy? Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia, very much. Our next evaluator is Mike Licata, and he's going to be evaluating Carol Ann. Mike Licata.
Thank you again, Mr. Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, our guest Harry, and a special Carol Ann. Carol Ann, I want to congratulate you on this speech. Every speech you give in the club, I see your growth, and it's been very impressive, and I have to really commend you on coming prepared. This is a really well-researched speech. Change is something that a lot happens every day, but not a lot of people have embraced it in the way that you have. Some of the criticisms, though, is I thought their opening was well done, except I felt that it was a little bit scattershot. I think you went on to I thought it was scattershot because you started a couple of different threads without closing them, and then you focus on your main thread at church. So I want to congratulate you on your perseverance through your cancer treatments. Glad you're doing better. I also think that as you grow in Toastmasters, one of the important things I want you to focus on is building a presence behind either the lectern or as we go to Zoom. Build a bigger presence, have a more vocal variety, have a more booming voice when it comes to growing at Toastmasters, because we know you have an opinion, we know you have a change, and that's how we can see the growth through your pathways in the presentation mastery. I think it's important that, especially more in that pathways than some of the other ones, it's important to grow your presence both physically and by improving your vocal variety going forward. The other thing I would suggest is at the end of the speech, instead of just wrapping it up, I would ask for a call to action for a lot of Toastmasters. It's important to make sure that there's a call to action for the rest of us to embrace change, to kind of become better people through change, learn through many different changes, and take new opportunities as they come. So I want to commend you on your speech. So it was a great job. And I want to wish you good luck going forward in your path. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mike Licata. Our next evaluator is Beth Banks, who will be evaluating Mark Campos. Beth Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Of course, as all of you know, evaluating Mark Campos becomes a challenge because what does he do wrong? Not much. He has some very good qualities speaking, great eye contact, his use of hands. You can see his hands most of the time. So that's always very good. I like that little joke you slid in about running the company someday. I'm not sure everyone caught that, but I love that with the little small grin after that. That was one of those things that I really liked about this speech. I like that you were very well organized. I didn't see any paperwork or anything like that, but it did seem like you really went through your managers chronologically by the times that you had them. You gave great details about your managers. I really thought that was excellent, Mark. There isn't too much I can suggest. However, one thing I would like you to work on is somehow getting rid of that luggage in your background. I know adding background to Zoom is challenging because if you move, the background doesn't quite match up. So that makes it difficult, but possibly if you could shift your camera so the luggage isn't showing, maybe I'm just fussy, but that is a little distracting to me. I feel like you must be leaving us anytime soon. It's an imminent trip somewhere. It is probably more to do with your work, but that's what I think of when I see the bags in the background. Maybe that would be solved, that you could challenge yourself to stand up. I know you don't usually do that in your speeches, but it's a challenge. We could possibly do that, or add more props or a PowerPoint outline. Sometimes for the rest of us visually, that might help. I did do that in a presentation I had to make on Sunday. I don't know if it helped the listeners to do that. It was a group, Canadian organization of Scottish games. So I felt that the visual people seeing this might react better to that than just me blabbing on. Not that you blabbed on, you did not. So I really appreciate your speech. As always, you give us some great information, and I loved your stories about your managers. Thank you, Mark, and fellow Toastmasters.
Beth, thank you very much for evaluating Mark. And now I'd like to have a timer's report.
I barely wrote it down and I'm back up here again. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest, Harry. Sylvia Baptiste came in at 2 minutes, 36 seconds. Mike Licata came in at 2:39, and Beth came in at 2:42. All of our contestants qualified, Mr. Toastmaster.
Mike, thank you very much. Thank you, Mike. Now, I'd like to thank Jackie Kenny. We also have to vote for best evaluator. Okay, I want to thank Jackie because Jackie put a post up and I have shared it. I've sent it out to a couple people. So this is to help to promote our open house on the 25th. So if you are on Facebook and you are friends with Jackie, very simple, take her article, hit share, send it out to a few people. We'll go from there, or you can use mine. One of the two, but Jackie, thank you very much. Okay, now it's time to bring in the general evaluator, Tom. And then we'll do reports after Tom talks. Tom. Is Tom here at the meeting? Am I still in the meeting?
Tom's not in attendance today.
Oh, he's not in attendance. Oh, I did not know that. Okay. Do we have someone that would like to volunteer for a general evaluator at the last possible second in the meeting? Or we can skip it.
Consensus here is to skip it.
Okay, we will skip it. All right, I will ask Harry if he'd like to give his thoughts on the meeting. If that's Harry Carlson, would you like to talk about the meeting for a minute, if you'd like to?
Thank
Good to see you back, Harry.
Toastmaster. Like I mentioned earlier, watching the meeting in person and then also on the screen, I could see some challenging things occur. And one of them is probably for Len here. It's a busy job for him to try to keep everything moving on the screen, showing the card when it's green and keeping the whole meeting rolling. He's got a very important role. The one thing I noticed is when the evaluators were giving their evaluation of the presentation, I didn't see the speaker. The speaker's on Zoom. Just as a suggestion for my own idea, I would like the idea to have the evaluator on part of the screen because they're on Zoom, and then the speaker to see their reaction from the feedback that they're getting on Zoom too. Or is the speaker even still on Zoom? Maybe they clicked off and they're not even getting their feedback. I don't know. It's just an idea. I also, the reason that I came today is my wife and I have been digging out lately and being involved with Toastmasters for probably close to 30 years before, as Phil mentioned, I disappeared. I've acquired a lot of stuff from Toastmasters. A lot of it was just personal things, so I discarded them in the round filing bin. But I came across a couple things that I wanted to leave with the club. When you go to a district conference, I don't even know if they have them anymore, or if they even have them anymore. I came across because the people that were running for election of various positions, they would always hand out things to promote themselves. So one of the things that I have here, and this would be for the club to keep, it's called Club Competition Draw Cards for the individuals that are speaking that day. They have a speaking order. So generally, the person that's running the contest takes a bunch of papers, writes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, throws them in a hat, and the people draw those out. Here are from this person that was running for election. There's draw cards here, all numbered, and the club can keep these and use them for their own competitions. So I'd like to leave that with the club. I'd also like to leave, this was from a gentleman that was running for third vice president. It's called Table Topics Game. There's cards in here that you can use if someone wants to just jump in at the last minute and be a table topic master. So I'd like to leave that with the club also. I also came across a couple programs that are not Toastmaster related programs, but I'd like to share them and give them to anybody that wants them. I do not want these back. I picked them up in various different venues. This one is called The Art of Conversation. Variety of different programs inside here. Anybody take this, go through it if they want, pass it on to someone else. Dad, help me overcome my shyness. If you practice the suggested information in here, I'm sure it would. So anyone is welcome to that. I'll leave that here with the club and you could present it at other meetings for someone. This is another program, and I cracked the book on this just one time and never got involved with it at all. And there's DVDs in here you can watch. It's called The $1 Million Vocabulary. So anybody that wants these materials, I'm gonna leave them here. Please take them, read them over, share them with other people if you wish. And that's about all I have today. I greatly enjoyed coming today. But the one thing that I mentioned earlier in the table topics was that every one of you have a toast in your back pocket because you can always pull it out at some time. And I've done this over and over throughout my life since being involved with Toastmasters. And I like to share these with people when I have that opportunity. And many people have gotten back to me and mentioned, you know, that toast that you gave the other night, I used that at such and such a group. And a lot of people came up to me and congratulated me on presenting such a great toast. So there's another one that I'd like to present at this time, a toast. It's real simple and it's easy to remember. And it goes like this. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to mention too was kind of ironic as I was sitting there watching the meeting in this venue, the YMCA. As you probably know, the founder of Toastmasters, Ralph Smedley, started this organization at a YMCA. I thought of that when I was sitting there. So the toast goes like this. There are good ships and there are wood ships. And there are ships that sail the seas, but the best ships are friendships, and may they always be.
Here, here.
Toastmaster.
Harry, thank you very much. All right, now we will go on to our reports. Word Master report, Master and Grammarian, all from Gerald. So you get all three, Gerald.
No problem. May hear my grandson in the background. Perfect timing. In the end, we did have a decent use of the word today. Carol used it once. Mike was the winner with 3 times. I heard him use it. Phil Russell once, outside of table topics. In regards to the Master report, I actually caught 1 from Phil, which is rare. Nancy had a long and an Tracy had 2 ahs. Carol had over 5. Mike Licata, I think, had a couple restarts. Sylvia had 2 ahs and Beth had a so. Grammarian report, super short. Harry, I caught Harry with the grammar issue, which is unusual. He said most interesting, and more interesting would probably be a better way to say things. And I told you the grammarian part would be challenging. So in the end, I'm still working on that. That is my report, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. I'm now going to go to Phil Russell for his quiz master, the quiz of the show.
All right, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow
Yes.
Toastmaster, our guest Harry. Come again, Harry. You are a welcome guest at this outfit. And it's great to see you because you always have something to offer us. Now, one of the things I have to report on, Les, I'm sorry about this, but I'm not a good social guy. My idea of most social media is the old guy way. I open the front door or the back door, I open it up, I stick my head out and I say, hey, come on to a Toastmasters meeting. So I don't do the social stuff, Les, but I do go out and see people and I do mention it as often as possible when it comes up. Now, as far as the Quizmaster, Marty accepted what position in Toastmasters?
Division governor.
Yeah, it's District C. Why does Margot wear her badge upside down?
To promote
Get people to
Toastmasters.
talk.
Start a conversation.
Conversation.
Yeah. What position in Wilson Lions has been railroaded onto Steve Smith?
President.
President.
Okay, let's move on here. Skills. Nancy has developed in Toastmasters?
Elevator
There's many.
speech. David says elevator speech.
That's one, and there's so many, it was amazing. Harry's greatest satisfaction out of Toastmasters is what? There's many, and the other one is solving the simple to complex was another one I picked up. Les Robinson is encouraging us to self-promote. How?
Through social media.
There you go. And Tracy with the Rotary and their project. What is the project?
Pavilion
Doing it.
along the canal trail.
Right, it's the Market Street Path, and that pavilion is developed into one big one. Correct. How big was the Rotary grant?
105,000, I believe.
That was 100, over 100.
150.
Yeah, I thought 50. I didn't know. I heard the 5. Carol Ann, what was the big change in her life that we heard about?
Oh, there were many. The lymphoma.
She
Yeah,
got married,
yes, mine was
the baby.
was the consolidation of the churches because of lack of attendance. But yeah, we had many of them, and I really enjoyed that speech. Actually, I enjoyed all of this. Mark, how many influencers did he have on his list to start off with?
14.
16? They said
16.
That's 10 questions. Getting close to time for the wrap up. But let's get out there and promote Toastmasters by talking to them.
sounds good.
Thank you, Phil. Okay. Does anybody have anything they would like to add before I turn the meeting back to the president?
I have a brief announcement.
Okay.
Just want to give a shout out to Mark Campus, who is in training to run the Zoom meetings. He was doing it remotely this week. It's a daunting task. It takes paying attention the entire meeting. How many of us can say that we actually do that? Half the people online turn their camera off. So it's a tough thing. We did have a little glitch with Zoom wherein we couldn't change the background color, but that's Zoom. We persevered. Thank you.
Thank you, Len.
I have one that Steve neglected to mention. He worked all the way around it. Star Search starts up this Saturday. Weather dependent, of course. We can't see through the clouds. Saturday evening, Kruger Park, Wilson. Come there. We'll be there.
Cool.
If the weather's good.
All right, I guess we'll be doing the drawing.
Who won?
I have to announce the winners. I could do that.
All right, we'll do the winners and then we'll do the drawing.
Yes, since I'm here in Zoom land. All right, we'll start off with our best table topics. Harry Carlson. Good job.
Yeah.
Round of applause. Beth Banks, our best evaluator. Good job, Beth. And it is a tie. Carol Ann and Mark Campos. Carol is in person. Congratulations, both of you. So she could do the drawing.
Come on up, Carol Ann.
Afterwards, I have another suggestion for Les after we're done.
Okay.
Take the winner. Take the winner.
Okay, our winner is 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 7.
Beth Banks is the winner this week.
Cool. Phil, you had something?
Yes, if I may. Les, there's a group. It used to be the Lower River Chamber of Commerce. It is now rebranded itself the Upper Niagara Chamber of Commerce. It's located out of Lewiston, New York. They are very active, very good. I think it's one of the better Chamber of Commerce I've ever been involved in. And you might want to contact them because they are located all the way along the north shore of Lake Ontario, which goes all the way Youngstown, Wilson, Barker, all the way down. And they are involved in that, and also in the central part of Niagara County. That's where their focus is. And if you communicate with them, we might be able to generate some ideas for some new members.
All right, I will make a phone call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know. I don't know if I have a phone number here. I saw it it's the Tribune Sentinel or newspaper of Niagara County. And let me see. I don't see a phone number, but I know there is one out there because I've spoken with people on the phone.
I will look it up on the web later today. Thank you, Phil.
Okay, just a suggestion. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Gerald, I will pass it back to you. And do we have training coming up for the new officers?
As of right now, I've not heard of any training for the new officers.
Okay.
That will come soon. The official term doesn't start until June 1st. And it's why we have a little bit more time for elections. But as of right now, there's nobody opposed. So it'll be a quick secretary will cast the vote and that'll be done with but I'm trying to recruit that last officer. So we'll see who it is. Time will tell. I'll make some phone calls. But thank you for asking.
You're welcome. And do you have a list of next week's who's going to be Toastmaster and everything?
So next week we have the DECA coming. So we have some young, bright talent, high school students coming in. And we could hopefully have as many Toastmasters as possible in person there to help them and promote young leaders and young Toastmasters.
Cool.
They compete in speech contests and everything. So they usually put on a good show.
I will also let you know if I hear anything from the local media or if anybody like Dave gets Spectrum to come in, let Gerald know. We don't want the media to arrive and be totally surprised.
Absolutely. Thank you all for starting those initiatives and hopefully they will bear fruit, which would be great. We got to start and promote and we're doing it. So great job all. So I look forward to seeing you all next week. And
All right, thank you guys.
we'll close the meeting. Meeting adjourned.